Round 12 is in the books. It wasn't all that fun, to be honest with you. There were a bunch of high scores, but the low ones really always outweigh those best scores, and it was full of it in my squad. There was a mixture of the really low scores. There was a mixture of the medium to low scores, like guys underperforming, but like doing okay. And then a bunch of those guys doing really, really well. And yeah, if you look at the guys, each of them, like DeBellin up like 45k, Horsburgh up 30, 20 odd. Then you got a mixture of Smiths, so they're going down 20 or 30. You've got, Hopgood going up big, Hines and Cleary both over $1 million now, which is amazing. And obviously, two guys that are the best scorers in the game. Like, do you want to hold them this week? Do you want to use that $1 million to go elsewhere? There's so many things you can do during this week, and personally, I'm potentially looking at holding them. But after I go through all of the results, guys, if you hang around to the end, I'm going to be going through my potential trades and what I'm generally thinking about right now, heading into round 13. And am I going to look to have 12 players? Am I going to look to have 13? And as I said, following the Origin team list announcement, it really didn't hurt my squad or hinder it at all, which is great news. So I got the 941, which was okay. It obviously lost me a few ranks, but I'm back to 306. Coming from 211 a couple of weeks ago, then to 256, out to 306. It really didn't hurt overall, and we're sitting okay. But obviously, we'd like to continue to improve like we had been, but obviously we can't do that each and every week. Isaiah Katoa, the 20 in this one. I think personally he might be done out of my side. I hold a lot of halves right now. Oluwapu I brought in a couple of weeks ago as well to go along with Ikatoa, Brownie, Johnson, and then Cleary and Hines. Just so many halves, and one of them has to go, and it will be Ikatoa this week. And I do have a bit of a like for like replacement price wise that's going to go into that wing fullback. So while I'm going through this video, have a little bit of a guess who is likely to go into that position down there. So Robson just continues to be really, really poor, guys. 38 in his time out in the park. Thankfully, he obviously didn't make Origin, but still, like, if we did have to trade him out, whatever, so be it. But he's going to be there, obviously, for all the big buys at the start, 13 and 16. He'll miss 15, which, if we get too many Cowboys, it'll be hard to cover in 15 as well to get a really good side. So, potentially if we bring in a Drinkwater or something like that, that could be difficult considering we have Lukey as well, unless he becomes a sell in round 15 as well. So we'll have to work that out as we go. But Lukey was obviously really terrible. Thankfully, I missed out on his 19 when I brought him in. I had him in my emergencies as the looper, which worked out well. Didn't have to play him. Last week played him, got the 84, which was terrific. And then, in a dry weather game against the Dragons. And then this one, they got absolutely pumped and looked terrible. Hopefully a bounce back from him, and also the squad. He should keep his starting spot, but I definitely think they'll be wanting a bounce back out of him, considering he didn't play great in that first game and then showed what he can do on the park. I think they need to give him some more early ball because he seems to make 10 meters plus when he gets it. But 13 in this wasn't good enough. Cleary, I missed out on him as captain, but that's okay because we went with Heinze at 82. Horsburgh coming in, he's made a little bit of cash for us. Obviously, a 48 and a 59 is fine. Jack DeBellin, one of the best trade-ins of the year. Him and Sean Johnson at the correct time was incredible. Obviously, Brownie at almost a perfect time, 40, 47, 41, and then has got 370s in his last four. Has made 110k for us as well. Lem was a great pickup as well, but him getting 38, that game wasn't too great for me either, with Lem 38, Ikatoa 20, Trent Leoro with 43. So Trent's score is completely fine, but it was probably in hindsight worth just removing him from the side, even though he had more money to make, and keeping Preston just because of Preston's upside. But it is what it is. He obviously got the 24 more points than Trent this week did Preston. Hop got a terrific trade in last week, and he's going to absolutely carry this week. So in terms of captaincy options this week, there are a few of them, and I think Hopgood is definitely one, considering he'll have to play close to the 80 minutes, I would say, with Junior out. Obviously, RCG, Madison likely to be gone for a few weeks, unless he makes a miraculous recovery. But then Davey's going to be out, so it's likely going to be like Murchie, or Dury, along with Cartwright on that edge, and then it's going to be a mixture of Makatoa, Greg, and all those guys playing big minutes. So Greg becomes an interesting one. Obviously, with the buy in round 14 is tough, but Hopgood, I think, is very close to someone you really need just to get in your squad, even though he does miss the 14. So he's going to be a great captaincy option. I'd be wary of someone like Dylan Brown in this type of game because he does get the 40-odd or the 70-odd, whereas you can get close to a 70 every week from someone like DeBellin, which is just freakish. He's incredible and keeps doing great things. And then Sean Johnson is the other one, guys. I think they're the three on your list this week. If you don't have any of those guys, then guys like Horsburgh are going to work out fine. I would be staying away from guys like Robson and Tarpanay, just a little too inconsistent for mine. But yeah, they're definitely solid ones there for sure. In terms of guys that are expensive and that are options this week, if you look over at the player pool, the top guys that I don't own, so obviously Cleary, Hines are the top couple, and then it goes to Fafita, Haas, Yo, all going to be out. Moses is the next guy available, so if you don't have any half, then he's that next guy on the list, with Johnson at 808, Brown at 764, and then it's Adam Fanua-Blake, and then down to really like Tohu Harris to go along with Hopgood. And there's not a lot of these guys that are available this week because all these guys are out with bye or actually Origin. Hudson Young would be the next guy, and Frizzell 740 and 720, but they're going to be out as well. So I find it really difficult to actually sell someone like Nicho Hines or Nathan Cleary, because really, who are you going to bring in and try and use that cash? And really, you think about it and you're like, well, Hines, if he's going to play lower minutes, then why would you trade him this week when you can have him as a great captaincy option in 14? Cleary, potentially is going to back up as well. They have a decent little rest there. So I don't see the reasoning to trade any of those guys out unless you're going Hines and a Tommy Talau, who is obviously terrible each and every week. Two 600k guys, or if you have a bit of cash in the bank like myself at 180, you could get two 700k guys or something like that. Could work out really well with those two trades. But overall, I think that they're probably worth holding in your side going forward. So yeah, very, very interesting in terms of the strategy that you can input this week. Jack Bird, we need him to be back. So hopefully it is just a 1 week thing. And it sounds from what they were talking about, they were saying a short turnaround is why, like, he has a bit of inflammation and he has some history with his knee, obviously 3 ACLs and meniscus, a lot going on there with Jack and his knees. So for them to say a shorter turnaround, the short turnaround was 6 days rest. So obviously it's just it's got some inflammation and stuff like that. Hopefully he is fine because he was named and then taken out. So yeah, let's just hope that he does get named next week and he is fine. Obviously bringing in Billy Smith was not the play. Holding Lockie Miller has been very frustrating. Another 40k down or something like that, 45,000. Not good at all, but I think he's probably going to be getting sold from me in round 14. And it's not something we exactly want, but yeah, it's just going to have to happen if he continues to score poorly. So hopefully this week is the one with him being able to do well. But Ponga missing Origin obviously hurts him as well with those last play attacking plays there, which he's missing out on these days with Ponga. But he's also just not playing well and he's a bit out of form. So hopefully he can find that form and have a good running game here in round 13, and then we're likely going to move him on from there. But yeah, can't wait for Johnson to be back. I absolutely missed him on the weekend and his terrific scoring, along with Bird, his consistency, and then Manu. So to still only lose a few ranks, guys, and have Johnson, Bird, and Manu there in the emergencies, there were about 100 or so in the top 1,000 that did trade out Manu and tried to really capitalize on him being out and his money and trading him to someone last week. And potentially a few more will trade him this week with him being out in this round 13 and guys needing a further amount of players to be able to play in 13. So yeah, I think that's going to be fun, like how that plays out. If Manu comes back in 14 and goes straight to fullback, if Teddy's out, or well, let's hope Teddy's not out. I'm actually potentially looking at holding Teddy, which is going to be an interesting one as well. Potentially this week, depending on what happens with team lists, I'd just be looking at Brandon Smith to Tohu Harris. I can go straight. I've got the 180k, as I said, which would be great. That gives me my full allotment of mids. I'm set for edges this week. I'm set for halves with Brown and Johnson. Ikatoa is going to go. And the man I was thinking about, he's actually likely going to go to Chance Nickel Klukstar. So they come up against the Broncos, I believe, who are missing a forward pack, and also Reece Walsh. So Reynolds will be there, be able to steer the ship. It'll be all the young fellas, and I think the Chance is going to be that solid guy that, the Warriors and the Dolphins only missed one game over the Origin period. So from round 13 to 20, they just missed 16, and that's a position I think that we can cover fairly well if I'm trading in. Sorry, if I've got Manu in my squad, which is going to be cool. I think the centers will be fine overall. So Manu's going to have to stay in the wing fullback positions. Round 16, we'll be able to make some decisions. But I think Chance is one of those guys that's fairly safe. He has obviously had a head injury during earlier part of the season, which has hurt some of his scoring. But when he's out there, he seems to be anywhere between that late 20s to mid to high 40s, which is going to be solid. And Warriors coming off a rest, I think is going to be good. So him at that cheap price, I think in that wing fullback position is really tough. Like you're looking at Drinkwater as probably the best option this week in the wing fullback position. Then it's Miller, who's on an absolute falling. He's falling down at the moment. You've got Manu when he comes back is going to be one of those clear guys. Already have him. Buller has been terrific, and I think we can play him each and every week. Chance can be one of those guys that maybe we loop when we have everyone back. Like if have Manu, I'm thinking about holding Teddy coming off the 84 with a slightly lower break even is going to be great, and him each and every week. Yes, he got the terrible score of 15, but that's not going to happen every week, especially not playing the Panthers. And with their team really struggling, I think he's going to have to back up more and play in 14. And if I have him available for that, or if I can have him available for that, then that would be great. The other option is to trade him this week, and that would, I would be bringing in Drinkwater, but that would mean I have Robson, Lukey, and Drinkwater from the Cowboys. So round 13 and 14, great. Round 15, that means I would have those three out, potentially any other suspensions or injuries. It means I would have to, Talau is likely going to have to play in my side, even if if he's not there, then I have a straight 17 in that week, and that again includes no suspensions, no injuries. And right now, with the amount of trades I have at 14, it's something that I need to be wary of. Is just making the correct trades and bringing in guys that actually cover the majority of those bye weeks. And if I do happen to play a little bit short in one of the weeks, then that's okay, as long as I'm not completely wasting trades. And Teddy is someone that, I do have Cleary and Hines as my only Origin guys at the moment. That's fine, but I'm potentially going to move on from Hines in 16, considering that, he'll be fine likely in 14 unless he gets injured, which then we can make that decision from there. But he'll play 14 and 15 at a very high level, you'd imagine, for the Sharkies. And now we could potentially move him on, and then that would mean we only have Cleary and Tedesco, or we could eventually move on from Teddy as well and just have the one Origin guy. So there's a lot of different options in this squad at the moment. Let me know your thoughts on it. Obviously, Alawapu had a solid score and made another 25k, which was good. Trent Leora might have to just stick in this squad, considering he plays in 16, as a solid 45 sort of average type of guy, which is going to be cool. Hopgood there plays there as well, but he might have to go into the mids. We're going to have DeBellin, Tohu Harris, and Horsburgh. So I think one of them is going to have to go in round 16, and obviously something might happen across that time, but it's going to be very hard to hold all three of those mids. So that is something definitely to think about as well. So that's the squad at the moment. That's what we're going to look at, and let's move to the overall rankings now, and then we'll continue to go through all the leagues that we have there. So we have a new leader, guys. We have a couple of new leaders. So we've got, I know what the NRL FF is. So if someone can tell me that, there's three of them in that now. Let me know anyway. The other thing to look at, guys, is obviously squad value. So my squad value goes up to 13.5. So that's great news. And is there anyone at 14 yet? Oh, there we go. Bob in 18th position and Garrick at 19th position are both at 14 mil. We have one here, Matt, a Cowboy fan, awesome, at 14 mil as well. And the rest of the guys, there's a bunch of these here in the top 50 that are around the similar team value as me. 13.56, 13.57, 13.59, and then there's a bunch of 13.7, 8s, 9s, and just under that 14 mil. So overall, me at 306, it's not too far away of that squad value. Obviously, Brent and Nigel are both at 14, which is pretty crazy. But massive scoring from them this week, 1,026 for Brent and also 1,019 for Nigel. So big ones for them. If you're looking at how far away I am from these guys, it's still not a ridiculous amount. So Dion had the 957. So, him as the overall leader only went up a little bit on my score, but that's happening each every week, which isn't super ideal. But I'm 118. That makes 348 away from first spot. So it's not that far, man. Like, if you're trying to catch up in round 13, obviously this team starts with Jeremy Marshall-King, so you look at that and go, oh, he's probably set up okay for the buys. Let's have a little bit of a look-see. With Jeremy Marshall-King makes 1, Madison out hurt, so DeBellin is 2. We have Dill Brown 3, Lemuelu 4, Miller 5. And then we've got Jack Bird, we're going to count as 6. Nikorima will be 7, but with that one, he won't be able to play Nikorima, so we'll count that as 6 because he has Johnson and Brown is going to be the halves. So something to think about, guys, is that's the important thing there, is where all of these guys can actually play each and every week. And then you have Tohu Harris as number 7. So overall, this team needs to make a lot of trades this week. Even making 4 trades, which is unlikely to do. They're unlikely to do. The max they could have this week is actually 11. And, if Bird's out, it's going to be 10. So this team, I think, will fall off a little bit, considering they're not in the best position heading into round 13. Nigel had another cracking score this week here, and we'll look at a few of those options. So Robson's number 1. We have Horsburgh and DeBellin, number 2 and 3. Hopgood and Lukey 5. Lemuelu, Bird 7. Drinkwater 8. Moses is 9. Taps 10. So this team's in a much better position. You got Johnson in there as well, and won't be able to pick Nikorima in that one. So they're probably going to be ending up around that 12, 13, 14 heading into this buy period. Considering they'll likely trade out Smith, they potentially will hold Nikorima just with how well he's been going. Alamoti's probably closer to a hold as well in this team. So team number 1 not in the great position for the buyers. Team number 2 in a better position. But obviously it's interesting to have a look at how many trades all of these teams are used. So you can go on footystatistics.com and actually look at these teams, guys, and where they're at. Obviously sitting at 14 mil squad value shows that they'll be able to have a pretty strong side going into each and every week. So it's very interesting how we're going to look at those teams and how much of an improvement they can do week in, week out. So head-to-head teams, I won all of them, which is very, very good. 941 was enough to win most of them. Sitting first in the Gagarov, which they all say that how good they are, and they continue to lose to me. So sorry, guys. It's there's nothing I can do other than beat you. It's just how it goes. If you look at the ham-to-head, there's actually a lot of guys. So I'm sitting at 4th, and there's a reason for that, because I think out of the 16 teams, I think 10 of them are in the top 500-600. So very, very tough competition. But sitting in 4th there is good. Battle of Podcast, let's jump into that. So sitting 4th in that one, you can't imagine how close this is. So Ryan had a 990, and he goes well ahead of us, but there's a lot of tough scores in here. Ross goes up the list as well with a 990. Well done to Ross. Rob sticks up there with a 921 in second position. Unfortunately, Mark had a massive fall from grace. Got very, very unlucky with his scoring. So it shows how quickly things can change. He was sitting at 23rd a couple of weeks ago, out to 60-odd. 66, I think, last week, and then out to 327. So 1 week can go up or down massively. And this is the one where people were getting 1,000, and then, with so many low scores, you were able to get very low totals as well. Ben Trbojevic came in for him. Madison gets injured. Fisher Harris gets injured and has a bit of a shocker. Had to play host. Frizzell gets 46. Drinkwater went well, thankfully, but, Ikatoa had to be played. Brought in Isaiah Papali'i for a 34. So all things that you just can't predict and are very unlucky. Having Bird, Manu, and Johnson like myself not playing either, and having Weeks as the other cheap guy, same as a Talau, basically. So that's that there. And just had an absolute shocker. So it shows that it can happen, guys. Other guys we look at, obviously Eddie had a good one, 967. But if you look here from rank 2, 10,891 points, Rob's on. And then I'm, 9 points behind him, 2 spots below. And then it's like 8 points behind me, 1 behind, 1 behind, 1 behind. All the way down to, Scoop? Nick. Yes, all the way down to, so Scoop in 10th position. There's like 30 points between 2nd and 10th. And Scoop's all the way. So there's 10 people, 10 podcasters that are in the top 400, guys, which is absolutely amazing. I know TK, at 825. Oof. So that's no Cleary. Obviously, that hurts. Walshy, a bit of a low one. Lukey, Ben Trbojevic. Yeah. So it was just basically which of these cheap guys you got. Had Madison as well. Had Johnson, Manu, and Bird. Yeah, so absolute shocker, but it's no fault of their own, just the unluckiness of it all. But it's getting very, very tight up the top of the Podcasters League. It's very, very exciting. Then we got my community, 59th I'm sitting, which is solid, I suppose. Brenton's still in the lead of that one, in 9th position overall, I believe. Yep, and then we've got Danielle, who's still doing well, sitting in 13th overall. So, 20, what's that, 18 points between them two, which is cool. And shout out to all the other people in that list there. David Booth, I'm smashing you in the head-to-head. Unlucky chump. Yeah, that's that. And then, obviously, private group is sitting okay. We've got... Ryan, who had not his best week, unfortunately, so moves down from the 30s down to 76. Will, Matt, Eobi, and myself, obviously Phil, Lockie there, Sam, Vinny, and Matty B in the top 10. So well done, guys. Keep up the good work. So let's move on to the People Squad now, guys. Unfortunately for the People Squad, I don't think there's any way around it. It was a big mistake last week, unfortunately. Joey Manu came out for Billy Smith. Obviously, yeah, not great overall. We're going to want Joey back, and we just got a 19 out of it. Obviously, hindsight heroes there, but really, that was a trade that you're trading out a gun for a potential cash cow, who we're hoping was, and it just didn't work out. So we left 288k in the bank, which obviously is going to help us this week, and I really think we need to launch here. We're in a position where we're sitting, 3,724 overall, 845 was the score this week. Just not good enough. And we did get unlucky, obviously, with, Madison, but we didn't have Ben Trebojevic. We had Lukey in the squad. We played Katoa. Oluwapu, the way that things worked out, I decided to remove, when Host got benched, I moved him out to the emergencies, and then, it was hard to pick which one of Katoa or Nikarima or both, and decided to go with Aikatoa and, play Oluwapu or loop Oluwapu. I think I kind of missed out in that last game or whatever it worked out, but yeah, we could have maybe snuck that point, that score if we just wanted to play both, but that was the only way, so it didn't happen. But Walshy wasn't that great either with his 33 scoring wise. Haas a little bit low for him. Cleary is captain. No other good scorer like a Teddy or a Brown or these type of guys this week, so that didn't work out. But we're sitting with 16 trades. We're sitting with 288k in the bank, and there's a lot of decisions that need to be made. If we're looking at our squad as it sits currently, we have 3 halves that can play. So Nikarima, Katoa, and also Johnson. So I think at this point we probably have to trade out Katoa, considering Nikarima's got the momentum. We'll play him this week in that halves position, likely him and also Johnson. So that works out great in the halves position. In our mid section, we only have Smith, Haas, and Madison. So this week we lose Smith and we lose Madison. So the mid section we need to change dramatically. And Tohu Harris is probably going to be a play. We already have Hopgood in the side, so that mid section it could be a mixture of Jack de Bellens or do we go cheap with Totola? Do we do a few things like that to be able to get to a solid squad there? Hopgood could come up to mids, which could be cool, but that means we'll be playing Lukey and also Host in the edge. So is that exciting? I'm not sure. Center position should be able to get Bird and Lemuelu, and then wing fullbacks we lose Walsh, which is sad, but Drinkwater and Miller will be able to do a good job, and we will need one more wing fullback. So I think this week with 16 trades available, it's a very, very good week to go hard and launch 4 trades. I think 3 trades is going to do great as well. But yeah, they're the things that we're going to have to do in this People Squad to turn it around and really push here, because we did save a few trades, and this is going to be the time I think to really push hard and get back into that top 3,000, then the 2, and go from there. So yeah, if we're looking at playing players, like my squad's got a Brown and Johnson, and this squad's got a Johnson and Nikarima. So there's obviously a bit of a difference there. If you're looking at the edges, mine's currently got Hopgood and a Host. Sorry, Hopgood and Host. Hopgood and Lukey, whereas this team's got Host and Lukey there. Hopgood will play mids. And then, where they're missing out on the JDBs and Horsburghs that I've got on my side and stuff like that. Robson up top, we're missing out on a hooker. So there's so much to this team. It's something that I don't think we were thinking ahead of in this People Squad, but that is okay. That happens sometimes. I'm just upset, That's why I'm reacting this way. I'm upset because we're such a good squad, such a good group of ladies and gents, and unfortunately haven't performed as well as we did the last few years. Last 2 years, we absolutely killed it, and I commend everyone for the terrific trades, but obviously some of them have been unlucky, and I think we could have been a little bit more strategic, but we'll get there. And that's fine. A little bit of a criticism, It's on me as well. I'm part of the voting system, so that's that. But we beat the late mail crew Discord. I hope everyone's still making trades in their community squads, but we're coming second in that now. Won by 30, so 845 at 815. Not very good at all. I hope you guys enjoyed that. You got a lot out of me talking about what my plans with my team are. I hope that really helps you with you selecting your squads, and we'll catch you in the next few days of videos. See you guys.